President Tinubu swears in ministers at presidential villa. Police bans protest amid tension over Kano tribunal judgment. NEMA distributes relief materials to 2022 Kwara flood victims. On the foreign scene, Human Rights Watch accused Saudi guards of crime against humanity at border with Yemen. These are the headlines on Trust TV News Update. I am Ayuba Ila. Thanks for joining. And now the details. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in members of his cabinet after screening and confirmation by the Senate. The event held at the conference center of the State House in Abuja. This comes less than a week after President Bola Tinubu released the portfolios for the appointees. Earlier, President Tinubu approved the redeployment of Abubakar Momo from the Federal Ministry of Youth to the Federal Ministry of Niger Delta Development. The ministers designate allocated to the Federal Ministries of Transportation, Interior and Marine and Blue Economy have also been reshuffled as follows. Adegbayo Oyetola is redeployed as the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy. Honorable Bumi Tunjojo is redeployed as the Minister of Interior. Honorable Saidu Alkali is redeployed as the Minister of Transportation. Furthermore, both Ministers of State in the oil and gas sector are now domiciled in the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources with the following designations. Senator Heineken Lokpobiri is the Honorable Minister of State, Petroleum Resources. Honorable Perikwe Ekpo is the Honorable Minister of State, Gas, Petroleum Resources. The President approved the renaming of the Federal Ministry of Environment and Ecological Management as the Federal Ministry of Environment. Police in Kano say all kinds of street protest is banned. The State Police Commissioner Mohammed Gumel said the ban followed intelligence reports that some members of the opposition APC and the ruling NNPP in the state are mobilizing rented crowds to preempt the judgment of the Election Petition Tribunal in the state. The commissioner said that the planned protest is on civil and criminal, adding that security agencies will not allow the fragile security situation in the state to be compromised.
In consideration of the confirmatory intelligence products at the disposal of this police command, all forms of street protest are hereby banned across all parts of the state. Members of the public should therefore note that it has come to our knowledge that both APC and the NNPP members are currently mobilizing a rented crowd in the guise of civil society coalition, and without clearance from the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress and without prior approval from the security agencies in the state. Umbrella body should note that any attempt to disrespect NLC and security agencies in the state by playing around the fragile security situation which the combined security agencies have been managing is not only uncivil but criminal and also an offense against national security.
Meanwhile, some protesters are currently on the streets in defiance to the ban on demonstrations by the police. The Nigerian Army says it has commenced investigation into an alleged killing of a Lagos-based driver simply known as Lawal. Lawal was allegedly killed by some persons in military uniform on August 17. This was contained in a statement on Sunday by Lieutenant Colonel Olabisi Ayeni, Acting Deputy Director of Army Public Relations 81 Division. The Army said that though information into the allegation is still scanty, it is appropriate to bring the occurrence to public notice and the steps taken to identify the alleged persons in military uniform believed to be soldiers and bring them to justice if confirmed. The statement further said that the division is currently carrying out investigation in conjunction with Nigeria Police Lagos State Command to unravel the identity of the alleged suspect. On security matters, bandits on Sunday killed one Rabilu Tukur of Dang Ali village, the Musa local government area of Katsina State. A resident of Dang Ali who sought anonymity told Daily Trust reporter that the deceased, who was a staff of Musa local government area, was returning home after dropping a passenger at Tashar Biri village. He was said to have used his motorcycle for commercial purpose and had conveyed a passenger to Tashar Biri village and was on his way back when the killers trailed him and killed him. In a related development, bandits on Friday attacked Maidabino village, also in the Musa local government area, where they conducted a house-to-house raid, killed one person, kidnapped his wife, and also wrestled his animals. A resident of Maidabino said that the attackers came around 2 a.m. in their numbers, attacked many houses, and in the process killed the man who hid in his toilet. They shot him and abducted his wife and left their little children behind. In another incident, attackers who were said to have been invited by the local bandits invaded Yaratamir Jino village in Kankara local government area, wielding weapons. The bandits, he said, have placed a levy of 3 million naira on the villagers. Earlier, we spoke to Trust TV's Abdullahi Amadi in Katsina, who has an update on this.
Well, according to reports, activities of banditry in some parts of the Musawa and Matazu local government is devastating and getting out of hands. There have been an upsurge in attacks, killings, and abductions in the last few days, especially in some communities of the Musa. To be precise, in Dang Ali community of the Musa local government, there was a coordinated attack which led to the killing of one person last Sunday. And before this attack, bandits in their numbers invaded the community and rustled some cows. People of Dang Ali are really concerned about the increasing cases of attacks within and around their community. In a telephone chat with a member of security committee of Dang Ali community, he said as at 10 a.m. this Monday morning, they saw some bandits passing with stolen cows around their community. In December, residents of Musawa and Matazu local governments are passing the night under the cover of plantations for the fear of bandit attacks. According to some residents, hardly a day passes without recording bandits attacks, saying they are living in a fear and apprehension, a situation that distracts them from concentrating on farming and other business activities. So the residents also decry the inaction of the security operatives currently deployed to the areas, who often ask for money to fuel their vehicle before responding to any attack. They appeal to government to deploy security operatives to flush out the bandits and unleashing mayhem on their communities.
Now, 1 in 7 global maternal deaths occurs in Nigeria, according to a United Nations report tagged Improving Maternal and Newborn Health and Survival and Reducing Stillbirth. Progress Report 2023. But experts say that family planning can reduce maternal mortality rate by 40%. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Maternal mortality is prevalent in Nigeria. The country recorded 540 deaths per 1,000 women in 2020. Health experts recommend family planning, which is capable of reducing maternal death by almost 40%. To achieve that, advocates call on Gombe State government to release 60 million naira allocated to family planning services in the 2023 budget.
We feel there is need for line MDS, for instance, Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Ministry of Health, and other health-related agencies to release budget lines that are domiciled under their corpus, because we believe partners will go one day. If you are not releasing funds that you have under your state budget, to some extent, if the partners that you are supporting left or the partners that are supporting state left, we are going back to square one. And at the same time, we also appreciate the government for releasing a counterpart of over 36 million naira to UNFPA.
As of July 2023, over 28,000 women have accessed family planning services, and health advocates believe the figure could be higher with government's continuous funding to cater for family planning services.
We feel those women are still in our communities through sensitization, through providing various methods of family planning or child spacing, as we call it. Definitely we are going to assess such women, and we are going to abate death by, like I told you, the percentage earlier on.
The contraceptive prevalent rate in Gombe State is 17%, but stakeholders say over 800 women of reproductive age lack access to family planning services. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
Professional photographers eke out a living despite stiff competition in digital ecosystem and advancement in mobile phone technology. This comes to the fore as World Photography Day is marked to celebrate the process of documenting memories, which also brings photographers and photo lovers together.
To celebrate the 2023 World Photography Day in Yola, photographers conversed for mutual understanding and respect between photographers and security agents in the course of their work, especially during government-organized events. Across the state, photographers believe that the profession has its challenges, especially with the new advancement in technology, calling for measures to improve photography.
So you can see today, everything is digital. You can even print your picture outside. You don't need to hide yourself to print, because in those days, you cannot even expose your paper to light. It goes spoiled, forged. But today, your paper can be exposed. You can load your paper in your machine without even going inside the dark room to load it.
You cannot fly an aircraft without a camera. You cannot go to war without it. You cannot drill a borehole without it. You cannot do anything without photography. A picture is good. Please keep it up and make sure you do pictures.
Despite all the contributions of the photography industry to growth and development, the profession has not gotten the desired recognition from the authorities.
But we have changed the narrative. Now photographers, you will find doctors, like I keep saying, you'll find doctors, you'll find engineers, you'll find lawyers into the profession. So our challenge is at the beginning, it's rejection.
It's a very good day to celebrate life itself. Like I said earlier on, photography started from the beginning, the creation of the world, because God started with let there be. And when you say let there be, it's just like having a click at the shutter of the camera. Let there be, and click whatever image you want to see, it appears there. So I would say World Photography Day is a beautiful day to celebrate.
The World Photography Day was first marked on August 19, 1839, when the French Academy of Sciences made the announcement of the daguerreotype process to the public. It was one of the earliest methods of capturing a permanent photo on a light-sensitive surface. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
Foreign customers in Benin, Togo and Niger have failed to pay over 132.2 billion naira worth of electricity bills supplied to them by Nigeria from 2018 to the first quarter of 2023. Analysis of quarterly reports produced by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission show that the amount owed is from the 180.8 billion naira billed to the customers, from which they paid 48.57 billion naira, meaning only 26.8% was paid. The breakdown of the figure shows that Benin topped debtors list with a bill to the tune of 72.1 billion naira, followed by Niger Republic with 31.3 billion naira and Togo with 10.03 billion naira. NEC had threatened to allow the Market Operations Department of the Transmission Company of Nigeria to invoke the provision of the market rules to curtail the payment indiscipline being exhibited by the various market participants. According to the Managing Director of the TCN, Sule Abdulaziz, the exportation of electricity was due to a country-to-country arrangement that was supposed to generate foreign exchange into the country. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at mitigating flood disaster through invention. Details and more after the break.
It was never a consensus. We did all our best. You see, in politics, you give your contribution to the best of their ability.
If you want, I'll forward to you this statement. You go to this bank and verify.
But there are people who say not spending money is not a virtue in itself.
Let me finish.
Because there's so much to be done.
Let me finish. Now, you don't allow me to explain myself.
The recent development shows abductions are now a factor of informants embedded in community.
It's not about the people of Katsina to say that, no, during my administration I was able to stop insecurity. No, it's about collective responsibility for all of us.
And what we should ask ourselves is not what has been seen, is the life better? Are there more people who are unemployed who are not become employed? Is the level of corruption has gone down? Is there inclusion? All those issues.
We're actually a gas country with associated oil. Our focus has always been on oil, that we have never paid significant attention to gas.
To do it effectively, we need to have honest conversation with ourselves. Government needs to come down from its high horse and communicate with the people and build trust.
There must be a solution. We cannot continue this way. They must come back to the table and agree. So whose child will do deny education? All these children that sit for jam, they want to go to higher institutions.
But just a short while ago you were saying that why bring 10 children when you cannot cater for them? So why bring more universities when you cannot cater for the existing?
Welcome back. This is the news update on Trust TV. Let's take a look at the top stories again. President Tinubu swears in ministers at Presidential Villa in Abuja. Police bans protest amid tension over Kano Tribunal judgment. In other news, the National Emergency Management Agency has commenced the distribution of relief materials to the victims of 2022 flood in Kwara State. The distribution of the relief materials was flagged off by the State Governor, Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, represented by his deputy, Kayode Alabi. The report.
Items distributed to the beneficiaries included agricultural inputs, food items, sewing and grinding machines, mosquito nets, and mattresses. The Director General of NEMA, Mustafa Ahmed, who was represented by Head of Monitoring and Evaluation at the agency, Ephraim Tony, said that the federal government approved the intervention specifically for people affected by the year 2022 flood disaster and those classified as most vulnerable persons across the country. Ahmed recalls that the 2022 flood disaster devastated many communities across the country, including Kwara State, where most of the people in the communities were displaced and their farmlands and crops completely washed away by water.
Search and rescue operations were successfully conducted in several locations where trapped persons were rescued and given necessary care. Immediately after the flood incident, damage and loss assessments were conducted.
Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, represented by his deputy Kayode Alabi, commended the effort of the federal government through NEMA for what he called the timely intervention. Abdulrazak, who urged the beneficiaries to ensure a judicious utilization of the items, reiterated the commitments of this administration towards supporting all programs that will be directed towards alleviating the socio-economic hardship of the people.
We recall that our administration has done similar things at different times and places where our people have been victims of natural disaster. Indeed, we commend the effort of the federal government through NEMA for this timely intervention.
The Deputy Governor, Kwara State, some of the beneficiaries, expressed gratitude to the federal government.
We reduce hunger, so we really appreciate it. To cut the story short, we really appreciate it.
The NEMA boss advised beneficiaries to make judicious use of the items distributed to them to improve their socio-economic condition, thanking President Bola Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima for all support given to them towards the implementation of the intervention.
A 13-year-old boy, Muhammad Kalmi, has created a flood indicator to help check water levels and mitigate devastating impact of flood recorded in Borno State last year. Borno State is among 14 states predicted to experience flooding this year. Brutus Kurti reports.
Borno State last year experienced devastating flood in 14 local government areas with over 18,000 people displaced. It claimed 5 lives and destroyed IDP camps and farmlands. It is predicted that in this year, 14 states, including Borno, will experience another flood. The fear of another possible flood inspired Muhammad Kaumi to create a flood indicator that will help mitigate the impact of such a disaster. He made the device using a sensor chip, papers, wires, powered by a laptop. It is the latest innovations among few of his collections.
Shekaran baya na kalla ana yawan yin ambaliya kuma gidajen mutane da yawa ya rushe kuma suna shan wahala.
I saw the floods last year. It was so serious and it affected many houses. A lot of people suffered so much during those moments. And we too, we live in flood-prone area. With what happened to people, this was why I made a flood indicator. The flood indicator has 3 levels. When water rises to the 2nd level, it means no cause for alarm. But when it rises to 3rd level, the device will make a beaming noise, indicating that there will be flood. The 13-year-old boy says he plans to create more, but lacks the needed support and resources.
Ina girma ina son zama engineer wanda zan constructing wasu machines wanda ko motoci wanda baya using mai sai battery.
I've been watching lots of engineering activities on television. This is what makes me believe that I can do more. Before now, I invented a mini generator that charges phone. Right now, I'm planning to invent a jet and a car that uses battery so that people will not have to buy fuel because it's very cost. But I need support and money to buy the things to make it.
Though I try my best by giving him what I could or what I have, me and his father, but to be honest, he needs a major support from the government and the non-governmental organization at large, because this will not only benefit him, I think it's going to benefit him, Nigeria and globe at large.
The young lad wants to become an engineer in life to touch the lives of many with his inventions, but that can only happen with diligent studies and support.
Now, away from Nigeria, Human Rights Watch has accused Saudi Arabia of engaging in a large-scale and brutal killing of African refugees and migrants at its southern borders with Yemen that could constitute crimes against humanity. Human Rights Watch has documented in a report made public on Monday widespread and systemic abuses committed by Saudi border guards against mostly Ethiopian refugees who fled armed conflict, economic hardship and drought in their homelands. The non-governmental New York-based organization said hundreds and likely thousands have been murdered by Saudi border guards between March 2022 and June 2023, and killings are continuing. A male minor interviewed by the Human Rights Watch said that border guards detained their group of 5 men and 2 15-year-old girls after killing many others and ordered the men to rape the girls. One man refused and was shot and killed on the spot. Rights groups have documented abuses of refugees in Yemen by both the government and the Houthi armed group that took control of parts of the country since the war started in 2014 and launched one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. But the Human Rights Watch said that the scale and intensity have only increased since. And in sports news, Nigerian champions Enyimba fell to a narrow defeat against Al Ahly Benghazi of Libya on Sunday night. Enyimba, 2-time African champions, were beaten 4-3 by their host in the first leg of their preliminary stage tie. Chijioke Mbama gave Enyimba the lead in the 4th minute. The Libyans equalized 5 minutes later. Imo Obot scored an own goal 3 minutes before the break to hand Al Ahly the lead for the first time in the game. Eze Kwotoziam restored parity for the Aba Giants a minute before the hour mark, but the home team restored their lead on 75 minutes. Meanwhile, Eyimba Remo Stars get tough Champions League draws. Eyimba fought back again with substitute Murphy Nduka poking home from close range 5 minutes from time, but it was Al Ahly who had the last laugh as they netted the winning goal deep into stoppage time. Remo lost 1-0 to Medema SC of Ghana at the Cape Coast Stadium on Sunday night, thanks to a Jonathan Soa winner in the 21st minute of the encounter. The reverse fixtures of both ties will be played next week. And that's a wrap on the news update. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ila. Thanks for watching.